What's up, people? I'm Xogue, and this is episode 10 of Mod Sauce. I've hit number 10. I feel pretty good about that, although it's really not too big of a thing. It's just, 10. Anyway, 10 it is. So, I told you what we were going to do in the last episode. So, let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Wait, what? Oh, things got organized. Well, that's crappy. Anyway, so here's the deal, right? You want bound armor, and bound armor is awesome. First of all, you need to get the sockets. Right? This is where it starts. If you can't get these, then you can't get anything, which means you need at least tier 3 for this part in order to get these things. So you need weak blood shards. You need tier 3 because you have to be able to do the bound sword to get the at least the first one. Plus, you need the imbued slate at tier 3 in order to duplicate them. You may be able to do it earlier. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see if we can find out real quick for you. Ritual stones, you need, this is tier 2. And then the master is archmage or magicians. I believe that's actually tier 3, I want to say. Let's blood orb. So this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Yeah, you can't use the apprentice. Right, so you can't get the master ritual stone, maybe not even the regular ritual stone without the tier 3 magician blood orb. Okay, so you can't do any of this without tier 3. You need to be tier 3 before you can even start this. But if you wanted to go through and get it at tier 3, which, mind you, before tier 4, when you can have the Well of Suffering, this is a huge pain, so I would recommend waiting until tier 4. But if you really wanted to, you could get it at tier 3. You need to get the weak blood shards, which means you need the bound sword. And you need to go kill a bunch of people. And then you need to be able to duplicate the weak blood shards if you want to make it easier on yourself. Now, after you get these sockets, you then need to fill it with 30,000 LP sitting in your blood altar. This is why I recommend waiting until tier 4 and get a Well of Suffering up and running before you do any of this. Because with a Well of Suffering, you stick it in and wait. Without it, you have to grind it out and kill chickens or put up some kind of a thing like I had in the last episode. Huge pain in the butt. Trust me. Huge pain. Just wait till tier 4. Wait it out till tier 4 and you're good to go. Anyway, so after you fill the sockets, each of them, mind you, that's 28 because you also need the soul armor forge, which requires 4 of them. So 28 of the filled sockets. 28 times 30,000. That's how many of these you need. Now, once you have all of them filled, then you can set them up. Think of crafting tables. This is a crafting grid. This is the shape of the chest piece, the pants, the boots, and the helmet. That's how you set them up. Now you can do them one at a time. You don't have to set them all up or anything. There's no kind of ritual design to it or anything other than just the positioning of these in that shape. Now, what you do is you can add things to these. First of all, I recommend adding a master or better blood orb. Master's just the way to go, really. So you add a master's into it, only one. Then you add a weak blood shard into it, into a different filled socket. You can't add multiple things to the same one at a time, but it doesn't matter which ones you choose. You add the weak one into it, the weak blood shard, and then you pick a sigil. For example, the lava sigil, I put that into it. That will give me fire resistance. So I can slap that guy in here and then right click. Now I have the chest piece. Sweet. So then I can take this guy back and put him here. Now I do the same thing. I want to do the master blood orb, get a weak shard, and then let's see, let's do the whirlwind on the pants. And then right click on the soul forge. Soul armor forge. Now I have the pants. Take this back, put it to the boots. I think that's where it goes for the boots. Sometimes the placement matters. If you have it in the wrong spot, it doesn't work. So if, when you right-click this, it doesn't do anything, move it to the other slot and then right-click it and see if it works. Anyway, Master Blood Orb, Weak Blood Shard, and let's add Haste to the boots. Oh, wait, see how it didn't take it? That was my bad. I already added the Master Blood Orb, Weak Blood Shard to a different slot, and then the Sigil of Haste. And now we will right-click it. Alright, Master Blood Orb, Sigil of Haste, Weak Blood Shard, perfect. Lava Sigil, and Sigil of the Whirlwind. Okay, cool. Good. Good, good. Now we take this back, bring it to the helmet. Master Blood Orb, Weak Blood Shard, and Sigil of the Green Grove. Right-click. And we are good to go. There's your blood armor. And I still have a cat on my head. Man, I am failing. What fits, you know, fez? Totally a fez. You can barely see it, but there's still something there. Perfect. That's weird. Anyway, so you may be asking, so what's up with, you know, adding the Master Blood Orb into it? Wow, I'm super quick. You see this? Woohoo! Super fast. Love blood armor. Anyway, the reason you add the Master Blood Orb is because those sigils that you add into it, for example, my fire protection that you see, or fire resistance that you see along the right, the boost that you see, and the whirlwind that you see, all of those will drain LP steadily unless you add a Master Blood Orb to it. I don't want to be draining anything with my armor. No passive draining. That annoys me. So, Master Blood Orb. The Weak Blood Shard allows me to add the Sigil. Now, there's also a Demon Blood Shard. Did I spell that right? No, I didn't. Demon. This guy right here. These are not craftable. These are more that you have to find, and I believe you have to summon something and do something in order to get it. But basically, the Weak Blood Shard that you saw me add lets you add one sigil to each piece of armor. The Demon allows you to add 2 sigils to each piece of armor. So you could have 8 total sigils if you were to use the Demon Blood Shard. But I don't need that many because I also have advanced genetics. You see the part to my right? I have a lot of buffs going on right now. I'm good to go. But it is what it is. If that's what you want, then that's what you can get. Now, each of the sigils provides one ability. That ability is, well, yeah, dependent on the sigil you use. For example, my lava sigil grants me that fire resistance, which is pretty much self-explanatory. Fire can no longer hurt me at all. Now, I was already able to jump in the lava, but gas fireballs would have hurt me, blaze would have hurt me, regular fire would have hurt me. So I can now ignore all of that. Sigil of Haste. What do you think that did? I'm super fast because of that. Whirlwind. Whirlwind gives me the ability to deflect arrows. Arrows will no longer bother me at all. There's no knockback. There's no nothing. They just don't bother me. They don't hit me. They don't hurt me at all. And the last one, Sigil of the Green Grove, I pretty much add because there's nothing else to add, and I think it's kind of cool. Basically, now, whenever I walk around plants and stuff, things will grow faster. And that does include berries. For example, essence berries. So basically, if I really, really need some experience, which I don't think I ever will, but hey, what's it going to hurt if I just kind of throw that on my armor since I don't have anything else to add to them? So if I were to set up some bushes, they would grow super fast. It's really cool. Wow, I'm so quick. Anyway, so there's that. What's next? All right, so now we're here at my ME system, and I do have a problem. You see this? I'm shift clicking, and nothing is going where it needs to. And, by the way, I believe I mentioned this already, but in case I didn't, if you don't put your blood orb in the pool while you have the Well of Suffering, your LP network is not going to gain anything. Right now I'm max, but if I were to use something, it would gain back up because my orb is just literally staying there full time, and there's a chunk loader underneath. So anytime I use anything, that's so awesome. It can be annoying sometimes being able to walk up one block, but most of the time it's just cool. But yeah, if that wasn't sitting there, you wouldn't gain anything in your personal network. Anyway, so this is everything that I currently can't put into my ME system. It means it's full. Let me down, man. It's full. It's done. So, I need to start making some 64K drives. I've got to get it done. And I really want to do the auto crafting at the moment, but I need to get everything put away first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another ME drive, and I'm going to suffer through making at least 1 or 2 64Ks just to give enough room for everything to, cycle through my system. And then we're going to see if we can't find a way to start working on some auto crafting stuff. Because that's what I really, really want to get done. And I'm going to try to go through it in a way that allows you to follow it without much of a problem. Because I know that is an issue that people like to see, done in real time without any cuts and stuff, so that they can understand and follow it without too much of a problem. So I'm going to get done with that first little bit of an ME drive and a couple 64Ks. And then I will jump straight into setting up something better, some kind of an auto crafting system, so we don't have to worry about storage ever again. I have made something amazing. This thing is great, but before I get into this, I did want to mention all the comments. Now I'm a small channel, so I don't get a whole lot of comments, but the few that I get that tell me how good I am at making videos and that, I'm good at what I do. It's even some of the ones that say I have a nice voice. Pretty nice. Pretty cool. I like it. It's cool. So, keep them up, because that definitely makes me feel awesome about what I do, and it makes me want to keep doing it for a very long time. So keep those up, and I definitely appreciate them. So thank you very much for those. But what I have over here is incredibly complicated. It's a machine inventory manager. Oh, yeah, what is this? Yeah, it's one of those kinds of situations. Now, these things are incredibly complicated, and I don't even understand them all the way. So I can't, I can tell you what mine does, but I can't really tell you how to make something that you want so much. It's one of those things I had to play with for a very, very long time. But basically, you see these 5 here. Now, these first 4 are what you would expect. They all have the presses in them, ready for, whatever respective material would make the printed circuits that you need. In this case, this would be gold to give you the printed logic, and this would give you, this is engineering for the printed engineering. You put a diamond there, and it kind of chooses all of those for you. These first 4 do. Now, these triggers, they're all basically just running at a 1-second delay, which in theory, in my mind, would make it lag, but it's really not doing any of that. So I assume that this is fine. Like, there's no resource intensity to this at all. I really thought this would be a huge problem, but since it isn't, I'm just going to leave it as it is because it does work. But don't get me wrong, I am fully aware that there is probably a much better way to do this. Much better. So if you know something about this and you want to try to help me with it, feel free. I will, play with it some more later. If you think there's a better way to do it, feel free to try to teach me that. I have no problems with that at all. But these first 4 are what basically it takes the respective material out of this chest, puts it into the correct inscriber, lets it do its thing, and then pulls the result out and puts it back into the chest. So this is it taking it out of the chest, putting it into the inscriber, taking it out of the inscriber, and putting it into the chest. Pretty much what each line of these do. And here you have 3 more triggers. Now, these are also on 1 second. Every 1 second these will run. It will take a respective item out of the chest. In this case, it would either be the printed logic circuit, piece of redstone, or printed silicone. Logic circuit, redstone, silicone. It would take those out of the chest and it would put them in the correct slots, meaning top, side, or bottom of the inscriber here. Now, I only have 1 output, because you only need to take it out of the thing once. You don't need to do it 3 times. So this is what takes it out, the finished product, out of that final inscriber and puts it back into the chest. That's about the best explanation I can give you. I tried several other things, including flows, to combine a bunch of these inputs down, and for some reason it got bottlenecked. It just didn't work right. This one works amazing. I don't think I have the supplies to make another 64K, to be quite honest. I do not at the moment, but I can certainly, show it to you later at some point once the final design is done. Now, this is, just the processors that you need. This is only, let me see if I can pull up something that has one. This I know has one because I recently made a bunch of them to fill up all the inscribers. The calculation processor, that would only make this. Now, another thing that I have already in there is actually the 64K, like you saw. These are also auto-crafted. These are crafted in here. These are where all my patterns are for this. I have the patterns for the processors in here, which you see I actually put all 3 components for each processor into these patterns. And these are raw, so 1 diamond, 1 silicone, 1 redstone. Basically, what that's going to do is, well, what this does is it pulls out every material it can and completes a full processor from it. So if I put 1 gold, 1 redstone, and 1 printed silicone into here, it would make the gold into a logic, and then since it has a logic to put in here, it would then put it in here and make it. It's kind of how that works. So it makes as many as it possibly can. So the only thing I have to do is dump all of the raw materials into this chest that, will give me the amount of processors that I want. And that's why I can do this, because now the system, the ME system, is saying, oh, for each processor, for each logic processor, you need 1 gold ingot, 1 silicone, and 1 redstone. So throw all of those in the chest. And this system takes care of the rest and just takes all of those raw materials, converts them into whatever they need to be converted into, and then makes the processor. That's why I don't have to worry too much about this system. It just kind of works. It's awesome. So after I have all the processors, then I need to have these patterns. And what these patterns are is basically, you have to watch this part. The patterns, when you make a pattern, you have to be sure you have the right one, either processing or crafting. Now this is incredibly important because it will not work any other way. If you try to put a crafting pattern into something that's attached to a machine, it won't work. So the way to know which one to make is if you assemble it in a crafting table, you use a crafting pattern. If you want to stick this thing into, an interface that's hooked to a device, it needs to be the processing pattern. And that's basically how that works. And really, to make a pattern, all you have to do is just put in whatever recipe. I don't have anything in here at the moment that will give me anything. Let me see. Planks. I already made sticks. But basically, if I were to drop 2 of those in here, you see it automatically gave this to me. I would click this button right here and code pattern. It would make the stick pattern. I don't need that because I already have one of those. But that's how you would make it. And in this case, since you would make sticks normally in a crafting bench, that's where you have it. You have a crafting pattern. And the crafting patterns go into these interfaces with these molecular assemblers. These molecular assemblers can make anything that a crafting bench can make, but they do it automatically. And these molecular assemblers is pretty much, it's kind of like where the work is done. So the more of them you have, the faster it will go. But if the crafting pattern is in this interface, only molecular assemblers attached to that interface can work. So you can't stack on more molecular assemblers on the side of this to make it work faster. It would only use these 4 at most. And a lot of times it wouldn't even use that because it actually does go pretty quick. You don't really need more than that for basic, crafting recipes. These other ones, these are a little bit more complicated. And once I get into something a little more complicated, I will try to explain what I can for certain machines. Like, I definitely need to hook up ore processing to some of these pulverizers, and I totally just stepped off the edge. But, once I hook up some of these things, I'll try to explain how to make the processing patterns and how the system knows. I'll try to explain all that stuff to you at that point in time. But for now, this is what I've got. And these crafting storage, basically, when you say, make me a thing, it will reserve, as long as you have them all and you click start, it will pull all of these out of your system and store them into these things. Whichever one has the job, it will store those materials in here. So you can't even use them after that. Not until you either cancel the job or it's finished and you can use the final result. But you have to be careful, because if you see here, this is a 4K crafting, which means you have 4096 bytes. Now, I don't know how exactly each of these materials, translates into how many bytes it uses or anything like that. I don't know any of that stuff. But when you go to craft something, it will tell you how many bytes you need. In this case, just to make one 64K drive, I need to use 1000. But I have two 4Ks, which means I have 2 times 4096 to use. But if, say, I had, I don't know, how much, yeah, see how it says 61,000 bytes? Even if it said like 7,000, even though I have two 4096, it would not be able to complete it because it's two separate 4Ks. There is not a single crafting storage that is capable of storing 7,000 bytes. I have two separate ones that are 4,000 each. And that's not enough. It cannot split a job between two crafting storage. So if you need something bigger, you either make a bigger crafting storage, such as 64K, or you just combine them. If I were to pick this up and put it right beside this other 4K, then I would have 8,000. Then it would be considered one crafting storage with 8,000 some bytes, or 9,000, whatever. It would then add the storage together. But since they aren't connected, it's not going to see it that way. That's pretty much, yeah, that's everything. The controller, I'm sure you've seen things about channels and stuff. And normally, if you look on the side of these things, oh, I guess you can't do it with the glass cables. But some of the cables, the ME Smart cables and the dense cables, they actually tell you how many channels you're using out of each thing. And the basic idea is that the regular network can only hold 8 channels. So any 8 devices that are using or transmitting data, such as these guys, they show you things, so they're using the data. These guys are holding the stuff, so they're using data. But these guys right here, they don't count because they're only using power. So they are not counted against a channel. These guys, again, when you're crafting something, they store the data. This guy right here, he, accepts that data and sends it to these guys. But these guys are really only getting power. They're kind of using this guy's data, so they don't count either. The interface uses, a channel. This will use a channel. This is a channel. The terminals are channels. The drives are channels. That's the basic idea. If it uses data, it's using a channel. The controllers allow you to have 8 channels per side. So if I ran out of channels on this, I could pull another string off of here and then move it over to add more, data using devices onto it. But yeah, lots of explanations. This ME stuff, the AE2 stuff, is actually very complicated, and it would take a very long time to go really, really in depth with it. That's about the best explanation I can give you, short video style, that I can come up with at the moment. But for now, that's about all I have time for this episode. In the next episode, I'm going to have some really, really cool stuff lined up, so be sure to check back. If you like the video, please click that like button, because it is going to help me out. If you want to see my videos first, you can subscribe. They're going to be sent directly to you in that case. You can comment anything. It doesn't matter what you say something, and I'm going to like it. Favorite it, share it, do what you do, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.